It all started with an ending of a relationship that I was in for several years, when this beautiful 12-week-old puppy came to me unexpectedly. In my mind, this new addition to my life was a gift of grace, and therefore, I never doubted what to name her. Through my walks with Grace, and through going through a very difficult time in my life, I ended up, finding that she was teaching me really how to live in the present moment, how to live in general. And I wanted more and more of being out in the woods with her, being out in nature with her, and I decided that I really wanted to travel with her. What I wanted to do was I wanted to immerse myself in it. I wanted to go to all the beautiful oceans and the lakes and the mountain ranges and all that so that I could really experience nature. Whenever I wanted to experience God, I would have moments, and I can remember a particular moment when I was in the Shenandoah National Park where it was about 6:30 in the morning and I was watching the sunrise, and Grace and I, in the middle of August, it was about 55 degrees, and I just remember standing on this stone wall overlooking these mountains, and I got overcome with emotion, but it wasn't sadness. It was a complete sense of joy. And I felt so connected in that moment. And a lot of people have asked me, aren't you lonely when you go away for this period of time alone? And I said, no, it's the only time in my life I really feel like I haven't been lonely, because I feel so connected to everything that's around me. One of the things that I've realized is I lived in constant fear. And through working with clients as a psychotherapist, I also realized that that's what most people do, that we live in fear. And so all of our choices are based on that. So one of the things that happened was when I was out in the wilderness, I had to confront being in that kind of fear. The one thing I could never do my whole life was to surrender. I never could surrender. I always needed to be in control. I always wanted to have, know what was going to happen. I hated living in the unknown. And when you're out in the wilderness, you have no idea what's in front of you. And so you're living in the complete unknown. There was one time when Grace and I were in the Allegheny National Forest. There was this big, huge black bear. And I just remember feeling, oh my God, I have nothing in my backpack to deal with this. I have no idea what I'm gonna do if the bear comes closer. I was afraid that Grace would run after the bear would attack Grace. And she just sat. She was completely calm. She stared at the bear. She didn't make any noise, and she just watched. And so I just sat down and I waited, and both of us waited, and the bear eventually wandered off. It couldn't be bothered with us. Later on, I went and researched the spiritual meaning of a bear, and the spiritual meaning of a bear is solitude and introspection, which is what my whole journey has been about. One of the things that I learned is that there is no power in the past and there is no power in the future, that the only moment that you have power over is the present. And dogs don't know how to live in the past and they don't know how to live in the future. One of the things that happened a lot was when we would hike, everything would be about her senses. All of her senses were heightened. Her smells, the sounds, and everything was fascinating. Just being with her was a constant reminder about the gift of being in the present moment, because there's so much that we miss just by thinking too much about what we should have done or what we should do, and never realizing that right now there's so much to offer. And that was one of the things that she really taught me that I think was a real gift. And one of the reasons why I named the book Journey with Grace, Finding My Way Home, was that I never felt like I belonged anywhere. I never felt that sense of roots and home and comfort. And so I always searched for it. And through this trip, and through going 20,000 miles across the country, I realized that home was really there. It was just I never tapped into it. I never utilized it. I never knew it existed. And to me, that home is my inner voice, is my inner wisdom, is my relationship with God. And it's really about figuring out what is your purpose, what is your calling, understanding that, and realizing that we're all not different. We all have fear. We all have times where we're brought to our knees. We all have those feelings of desperation, and we're not alone. And I think we don't share that, because even in sharing that, it makes us too vulnerable. And I want to help people, and I want to show people that it is through that vulnerability that we will begin to heal. Well, spiritual principles to me are sort of, things to live by. For instance, truth is a spiritual principle, or having compassion is a spiritual principle, or gratitude is a spiritual principle, or patience is a spiritual principle. Anything that I think are sort of values or morals to live by, but not in a way that, okay, this is what I should do and this is the right thing to do, but understanding that it's through those things that you're able to really connect to another person, and through those things that you're really able to live an inspired life. Not because just it's good to be patient or it's good to have compassion. It's good to live patience and to live compassion and to live truth and to live gratitude. It's very, very different than just understanding that they're words that mean something. And that's what my goal was through this trip, was I wanted to live an inspired life. And maybe this was a little extreme to do in order to do that. And I don't think everybody has to get into a car and drive across country with their dog. But I do feel that the message is the same in whatever way that somebody needs to do it, because otherwise life is all about regrets. And I don't ever want to live my life or want other people to live their life like that. One of the biggest gifts that came into my life was Grace. She has been my best friend, she's been my companion, and to me, she is spirit. And when you see her in the woods, it is amazing, because it is like watching spirit in action. I mean, there's a sense of joy that she gets from the simplest things that we would all take for granted. Whether it's running through a meadow, or whether it's swimming in a stream, or whether it's jumping through the waves in the ocean, there is something that she does with every fiber of her being that we don't do. And watching that and experiencing that with her has taught me that that's how I want to live. That is how I want to live. And it is always about the journey, and it is always about the process, and the journey never ends.
The water is wide, I can cross over, and neither have I wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall roll